Hi you guys, welcome back. I thought it would be super fun to do a weekly love energy update in addition to the weekly update that's just kind of general for any and all topics and departments of life, so to speak. So this is going to be relationship specific or romance specific. We're going to have 3 piles. It's not necessarily going to be a pick a card. It's going to be more based on your situation. So first pile is going to be if you're in a relationship. The second is if you're single. And then the third is if you are having like a no contact situation with someone, or if you have a strong connection or feelings towards someone, but there's nothing really official going on. So Venus is kind of doing some interesting things. She's just come off of her conjunction with Neptune in Pisces. She's making her way. February 7th, she'll be entering into Aries. And as soon as she comes into Aries, she's going to be connecting with Chiron. So this kind of Neptunian Chiron kind of transit, it really exposes a lot in our kind of our love field, what we value, what's really important to us, what our needs are. And that usually impacts our relationships as well. So with Venus kind of doing her thing, Mars is in Sagittarius, which is a great placement because it's a lot more direct. Hopefully, as we work our way into a Mercury retrograde, there won't be any issues with communication. It will be a lot more open, direct, and honest, and we'll be able to really, transmute our thoughts and our feelings and the things that are really bothering us into usable information that can, help our relationships grow or help us to evolve in some kind of way that is beneficial for us. So let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, relationship people, you are up first. Okay, pile 1. So here we have your cards, and just FYI, all the cards and the decks that I use are listed in order of appearance in the description box down below. Intuitively, I selected manganese calcite, which is one of my absolute favorite crystals and stones. I don't know if my camera is going to be able to pick up the detail on that, but it's a really beautiful, very light pink kind of energy. Intuitively, I was drawn to it today, specifically for the relationship pile, because it tells me that there is kind of a lovely, sweet energy with a vibration that's like really loving and compassionate. It's full of forgiveness. And, if you're in a relationship, forgiveness and compassion is usually one of the most important things to kind of recognize and to acknowledge the humanness within yourself and within your partner as well. This color and this particular stone can help you release experiences from the past, like it's not really a good week to hang on to things. That's again Neptunian Chiron energy coming full on. So it's not a good time to like cling, because if we cling, then any kinds of things that happen in the future can really be a lot more painful than they need to be. So I'm starting off with an animal spirit card, the wombat spirit, which is all about being at home and being in your safe space. Within your relationship, your person, right? That person that you love and care about so deeply definitely can be your home. So whatever is going on, whether it's great things or not so great things, there is still a safe space found within your relationship. There is still going to be an emotional security within your connection. So if things aren't necessarily going so great with your family or with work or with your friends, you can always come back and lean on your partner for support. And if you don't feel safe in doing that, then I highly recommend you, it might be something to really talk about. So the next 4 cards, we're using the Moonchild Tarot deck here. We have the 8 of Cups, the Ace of Cups, Ace of Swords, and the 2 of Swords. Well, first of all, I love this Ace of Cups energy. I love the Ace of Swords energy because it really is the perfect balance between the intellect and the mental capacity to process things. And again, as we have Mercury making his way into retrograde, and currently we have Mercury still in Aquarius, which is a highly intellectual placement and transit, plus the Sun in Aquarius as well. I think a lot of us are leaning very heavily toward the Ace of Swords, speaking of truth, understanding things becoming really clear. And then the Ace of Cups is that beautiful balance of, the heartfelt understanding of emotion. I think within your connections, within your relationships, you have an opportunity this week to grow and to evolve and to take your relationship to a further level of depth. Now, the first card that came out was the Eight of Cups, which often suggests, kind of getting into an uncomfortable place. Now, intuitively, I pulled out this manganese calcite, which has a lot to do with leaving things in the past, which I just said. And now I'm looking at this Eight of Cups and I'm saying, this is the week. This is the week to stop taking the tally. Sometimes we tend to remember things so that we can bring them up in arguments like in the future, and then we can run down the list of all the ways, our partner kind of messed up or whatever. This is not the week to do that. This is not the week to keep score. All right. So it's important to leave the things in the past and be able to be open to evolution. And when you take that first step, you will find growth to be a lot easier. And I love, I'm such a flower person. I have flowers all over my apartment, on my pillows and my curtains and stuff like that. And, these flowers here are so indicative of the blossoming. And when you find that safe space and when you feel like, okay, I'm no longer hanging on to any grudges, I'm no longer hanging on to any issues, when you feel that freedom, you really can blossom and the relationship can grow just a little bit further this week. So as the last card comes out is the Two of Swords. Two of Swords can often be about peace, and sometimes it can feel like you're at a crossroads and you really don't know what to do. But this might not be the best week to make major decisions in your relationship or to make major changes. All right, this is more about coming closer, harnessing a little bit more of a vulnerable culture between the two of you. And it's about two sides of the coin coming together and working in unison, and the opposite, right? Maybe one of you is even leaning one more toward the other, but when these two energies, right, heart versus head, when these two things come together in harmony, wonderful things can be accomplished. So it's important to recognize and acknowledge the differences between the two of you, but to see how they can be used to strengthen one another. All right. Now the next card, a card of withdrawal. Interesting that we have be at home, we have a card of withdrawal. You may have a tendency with this Eight of Cups energy, it can be hard to let this stuff go, and you may be having a tendency, you or your partner perhaps, maybe kind of leaning into that energy of, I just kind of want to don't deal with it. I just kind of want to not grow, because the growth this month or this week might be a little uncomfortable. Again, we have to remember that as Venus makes her way closer to Chiron, it's usually the build-up that is the most intense. It's not always necessarily when Venus is directly on Chiron. It's the building up to that energy. And so you may be feeling things a lot this week. And I highly recommend withdrawing from the world, but not withdrawing from your partner, because your partner may perceive your withdrawal as I did something wrong, when really it might not have anything to do with them. If you are having issues surface, if you're having issues surface, if you're having your values challenged, if you're having your outlook on life challenged, if your perception has been shown to be something false, that can be a very humbling experience. But again, don't forget there's safety within your relationship, all right? So let's look at these astrology cards here. We have the South Node. We have the Leo card. We have the 9th house. And we have air. Okay, I love the sword with the air element, which is all about communicating. Yes, communication most definitely will be super, super important for you this week. You have to tell your partner what's going on, and hopefully you can expect your partner to do the same. This is not, again, the tendency to withdraw is going to be strong. And you can withdraw from other areas of your life, but you cannot withdraw from your relationship because it might cause a little bit of more tension than is necessary. So I love this 9th house with the Leo. Okay, Leo's kind of mantra is I will. And then the 9th house, it's highlighting the aspect of faith here, which I love that. The aspect of faith that the blossoming will happen, faith that the balance will occur, faith that the ebb, if you're experiencing an ebb, that it will give way to flow. And it's more about patience, honestly. And it's interesting how this South Node, oh my God, like, it's so crazy how intuition works. Like, I'm still surprised to this day as to like how tarot and cards and intuition all work together. Like here we have the South Node, which is all about our past. Life's debts is kind of the word that it's using here. With the 8 of Cups, which is all about moving forward, moving on. And then I pulled this, which is the forgiveness part. And I think most of us, you know, we want our life to evolve. We want that growth to happen. And I honestly don't see any reason why this week should be a bad week. You know what I mean? Like it should just be a power of kind of an issue of self-confidence, an issue of being able to really stand up for yourself, to be able to really speak your truth, to be able to be very clear about where your needs are not being met, where your vulnerabilities are, where you felt disrespected or whatever, and to easily rectify it. I'm getting a feeling that your partner, you and your partner together, that you actually really do want things to like, you know, smooth out. You know, like you actually really do want that. And it's all about the honesty. It's all about the honesty and the willingness to actually have a blank slate. You know, but you do have to step into your Leo confidence, empowerment, strength, because the withdraw energy is so completely opposite from the Leo energy, right? They're so vastly different. A Leo doesn't withdraw. It doesn't withdraw because it's afraid. It doesn't pull back. It doesn't retreat. It puts it out there. It shines like the sun and owns it, even if it is a vulnerability or something that maybe in the past you've been embarrassed about or whatever. Like, no, like own it. It's real, it's honest, it's authentic, and it's true. And by exposing it and by shedding light, right? Leo is ruled by the sun. By shedding light and illuminating the thing that makes you want to withdraw will actually heal you. Okay, so this is a really powerful reading for you guys. I hope you guys have a great week. I know we're making our way into Valentine's Day in the next couple of weeks as well. So there's going to be, you know, kind of a lot of focus on romance, most likely, for those of you who are in couples. So that's it. All right. Thank you guys so much. See you next week. Okay, you guys, so this pile is for those of you who are single, right? No prospects, or maybe you're out dating, but there's really nothing serious going on or no very intense connections happening. So intuitively, I selected from my little crystal collection that I have, the carnelian stone, which is one of my favorite stones. I love the red kind of burnt orange color. For me, like I carry this when I feel like I need courage. I feel like I need to, you know, speak my truth and have that kind of sense of empowerment. It also can stimulate your creativity. It can, you know, kind of promote positivity in your life, you know, making positive choices. And whenever you're feeling just a little bit lazy, this kind of reddish orangish color, I kind of see it as a very fiery energy. It can kind of light a fire under your butt and kind of get you motivated to get out and do what you got to do and to accomplish your goals and things like that. So this was my intuitive choice. I haven't looked at the cards yet. So let's see what they have to say. Okay, the dog spirit. Be loyal to what you love. Oh my gosh, stop it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, when you are doing the things that you love to do, even if they're kind of a little quirky, or if they're, maybe it hadn't been accepted, in the past, and it was kind of a little eccentricity that you kept hidden from the world, doing what you love is always like one of the best way to really attract a partner. Even going and doing things alone by yourself, like whether it's like a wine tasting class or going to the coffee shop and reading a book, or something like that. I feel like there could be a door opening for you, for those of you who are looking for love, but really this is just about overall happiness. And when you're resonating at a happy, joyful frequency, you're more likely to attract good things into your life. So be loyal to what you love. Don't modify yourself this week, all right? Definitely don't modify yourself. Okay, we've got King of Swords. Oh, I forgot to tell you, all the decks and the cards that I'm using are listed in order of appearance in the description box down below in case you're interested in purchasing them. Queen of Swords, King of Swords, Page of Wands, and Death. Okay. Wow, a lot of sword energy. King of Swords, Queen of Swords. I'm kind of like very drawn to the directionality happening here, where the queen is very much looking at the king and the king is very much looking elsewhere. So this could be an instance where you kind of have your eye on someone, but they are like oblivious, or someone has their eye on you and you are like oblivious. But this Page of Wands here tells me that there is an aspect of contact. Maybe you guys work together, or maybe there's, maybe you're on messaging, maybe you're on like Bumble or one of the dating apps. And so you are, in exploratory phase, but there's still very much an energy of like, okay, I'm gonna really keep myself contained. I'm gonna really look at all of the evidence, who's a good partner, who's not a good partner, who do I want to spend time going out with, who do I not want to spend time going out with. There's a very logical approach, and I think on some level it's like that there are people out there who will share a lot of the passion that you have. For some reason, this Page of Wands to me is coming off very passionate, really creative. Again, the fire aspect with the wands coming very fiery and very much looking forward to the next chapter of your life as we enter into 2020. I know that, a lot of us have felt this kind of lifting of pressure with the Saturn-Pluto thing. We have felt that pressure kind of wane, and we feel lighter, and therefore the desire and the need for like that deep, meaningful connection, while as human beings of course we want that, I just don't think that it's necessarily as strong or intense. And you may have reached a level or a point in your life of being like, you know what, like I am super good, like wherever I am, I find joy in what I'm doing, and I might not really need a partner right now. And if I get a partner, it's got to be someone really friggin' special, like someone who is super, super top tier, top notch, where like it's compatibility to the nth degree, and it just has to be something divinely inspired. And because you're continuing to do what you want, and because you're doing what you love, the likelihood of that person coming into your life is actually becoming very, very much more likely. Now, actually, as I continue down this dialogue, I'm feeling really drawn that the people watching this video are the King of Swords, and the Queen of Swords are the people that are being pulled in. Like there's such an attractive quality coming out here with this Page of Wands. Like there's like you're doing your own thing. You're kind of in your state of like, I'm building my business, I'm building my house, I'm going out, I'm doing my hobbies, I'm doing my stuff. And you're just glowing. Like that's what I feel. It's just really fiery and creative. And this death energy to me in this moment is speaking to the other side of the transformation. Like you're enjoying the part of change where like you've now changed, and now you have a new blank slate to begin drawing whatever picture you want to draw. I'm kind of reminded of the Scorpio reading, and I know not everyone here is Scorpio. There's nothing to do with Scorpio, but this is a Scorpionic energy. And I labeled the February reading the other side because the scorpionic transformative nature of the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn is now over. And I just feel like we are and have become these butterflies, and we are now learning how to really flap our wings and fly. And so there's a lightness and a brightness, plus even just the cheerfulness of like a dog, right? The cheerfulness and the ever passionate excitement. Ooh, versatility. Well, that's a great energy. To be versatile. And that's the thing, is like you are, that's why I was saying you're kind of sitting back, examining your options, looking at all the evidence. You're not going to jump into really anything. Like you're just keeping yourself super open. And again, because of that open-heartedness, you are more likely to attract someone like way awesome. So that's great. Oh, Death card, Scorpio, Pluto transformation, and Scorpio, I transform. So maybe that makes sense that I was really drawn to the scorpionic vibe. 10th house, which is the world, and then the fire element. See, Page of Wands, fire, very fiery color, fire element. So here we have the other side. I'm going to just kind of piggyback on the Scorpio reading. Even if you have no Scorpio in your chart, you might want to check that video out because I talk about it and it may apply to you. So here we have, you know, you're different now, and your energy is different, your mindset is different, your whole vibe when you walk into a room is different. And I think a lot of the hardships, right, a lot of the pain and a lot of the suffering, especially in the realm of relationships, which can always expose so much of us, the wounds are starting to be, you know, sewn up, and they are now mending. And this is a beautiful kind of message for a Venus conjunct Chiron transit, which is happening this week. Because as much as Chiron can expose wounds, he can also heal wounds. And so I feel so much healing for you in the upcoming week, in the upcoming weeks, plural, probably all through the rest of Aquarius season, as you become more and more complete and more liberated from your past. Now, the 10th house is about the world, and that's the beautiful thing about the versatility, is I think you're really open to going out and building something. I think you have that, you know, drive to make an impact. You have the freedom now, because in the past maybe you were bogged down by relationship stuff, and now you're not, because you're single and you don't have to have those kinds of conversations, and you're not overwhelmed by the intensity of the chemistry and whatever. Like, you're free. And so when you find that freedom, you find that the things of the world, whether it is a promotion, money, career changes, a home environment, you know, whatever, that those things, your focus can now be more geared toward those things. And again, the fire element, that quality of desire, and I just love the orange with the red here. It's so perfect. There is like a fire under your butt. There is something you want to go do. There is something pushing you forward. And I think for the first time in a very long time, you are actually really allowing yourself to be pushed forward and to allow your soul to drag you forward into a state of absolute expansion. And the 10th house is a very big, important house. And it's not just, you know, not just your career. It really is how you show up in the world. And that's a beautiful quality to have. So amazing week for you guys. Really, truly lean into the fire, lean into the creativity, lean into the weightlessness. Be loyal to what you love. All right, you guys, see you next week. Take care. All right, you guys, pile number 3 is for people who have connections with people or are in a state of no contact with someone, who are, you know, really drawn to a particular person, but there's nothing like really official, and you're also kind of not necessarily single per se. So, you know, I intuitively drew crystals for this reading, and I don't know what the cards are, but I'm looking at this and I pulled the peacock ore, which is one of my favorite kind of stones. It's a stone of happiness and joy. In this particular parcel, there's purple and blue, which are associated with the 5th and 6th chakras. There's so much positivity and lightness with these particular colors. You know, I'm just feeling an air of happiness is really, I guess, what I really wanted to say. It's, you know, these particular chakras are connected with the element of the ether, which are extraordinarily lightweight. They're not dense like earth and water. They're not heavy. They're not thick. You know, it's just very elated and highly spiritualized. And so I feel like there's either a need or a desire for just being uplifted, especially when you're feeling like there's someone you really love and you care about, and for whatever reason you can't be with them. Maybe they're in a relationship, maybe you broke up, you know, I don't know what it is. But I think there's something there with those particular colors. Now, okay, the very first card we're doing is an animal spirit card. All the decks I use are listed in the description box in order of appearance, so in case you want to buy them, you can. The elephant spirit says, learn from the past. And first of all, like, there's no turning back now that Pluto and Saturn have done their conjunction. There's not a lot of space for people at this particular point to go back to the way it used to be. So now it's important to accept that the energy has changed, that the energy has shifted. The dynamic between you and this person is now something different than it ever has been before. And the question is, are you sure this is the kind of relationship that you want? Are you sure the connection with this person is like the right thing? Because sometimes the universe purposely keeps us away from people because we're on different vibrations and it's just not right for us in our story. And the pain can come from us wanting something that isn't right for us, even though, you know, we know. Now, I don't know what the rest of the cards are saying. I'm not saying this relationship is totally doomed and just move on. I'm not saying any of that, but it's important for you to recognize that you are now a different person, and your person of interest is also a different person. And so coming together, it's you know, moving forward, it's going to be different. So let's take a look at the tarot. So we have 10 of Wands, we have the Fool, we have Moonchild, and we have the Ace of Wands. So even this Moonchild card here is etheric in nature and kind of connects with the etheric nature of the colors here with the blue and the lavender. The 10 of Wands is like this relationship, this connection rather, it's heavy on you. You know, there's a lot of energy being invested in this particular connection here. And the Fool is, again, that need or that desire for just to be uplifted, to feel like this 10 of Wands, very heavy burden, is no longer problematic anymore. And I'm wondering if a lot of you aren't like either asking the universe one of two things. One, universe, can we please just have like a chance? Or two, universe, please, I don't want to feel like this anymore. How can I stop feeling like I care so much about this person who clearly is not wanting to be in my life, because I'm here, I'm ready, the phone is right here, and yet I'm not hearing from them at all. And so I think leaning into this Fool energy and to really tap into your own divinity, which I look at this Moonchild, and, you know, we could maybe even take it a step further for those of you who identify as being star seeds or being reincarnated here for some kind of purpose. You know, there's no kind of human connection that a Moonchild should ever be bogged down by. A Moonchild, you know, has the ability to evolve very quickly. It's very rapid, but you have to lean into it. You have to jump into the evolution and see, learning from the past. And I love the elephant. Oh my God, like the elephant is becoming one of my most favorite like spirit animals like of all time. Even though I'm more of like a lone wolf kind of spirit guide person. Because the wisdom of the elephant is so profound and ancient. You know, the elephant carries with it the, you know, generation upon generation upon generation of the land, of the earth, of the weather. It is a very grounded energy. And so to have the wisdom of the grounded elephant with the power and the agility of a moonchild or an etheric being gives you the power of both worlds, both the earth and the spiritual world. And this particular connection that you have with this individual, I think, is probably something that you should leave to the hands of the divine. And if it truly is meant to be, then it will come together and it will happen. This is a story of absolute faith, but you no longer need to carry the burden. It's like, please transfer your burden to the universe. Like, give that over. And you may want to have some kind of a ceremony as we make our way through Aquarius season, you know, whether you want to do it on the full moon. I actually don't even know what date the full moon is. We're making our way into the full moon. Like, as of today, the moon is in Aries conjunct Uranus, and then the next several days, next week, we will have the full moon in Leo. So maybe in the full moon in Leo at that time, you may want to do some kind of a ceremony to hand over that responsibility. And then you'll find that freedom. And I love the Ace of Wands, because the Ace of Wands is so passionate. It is driven, it is fiery, it is creative, and it will help to channel happiness, because this is you doing the things that you really want to do without worrying so much about how someone feels or what they're thinking. You know, I think that's one of the kind of the bane of human existence, is like this desire, this insatiable desire, wondering what someone else is thinking and wondering what someone else wants. But a moonchild is like, you know what, that's none of my business. It's not my responsibility. And that's that etheric quality, that spiritual quality, recognizing the spirituality in the other person and the humanness in the other person, and simply redirecting the energy into something that you love. Okay, now the next card that came out, that's funny, the Outlaw. You know, this is kind of a rebellious energy, and I look at the Fool and I look at the Moonchild, and it is a little bit rebellious. It is a little bit learn from the past, but also, like, by learning from the past, you don't repeat the same mistakes from the past. So it's almost as though you're being rebellious against yourself, rebellious against your patterns, rebellious against all the things that culture tells you you're supposed to do. And this Ace of Wands truly is a mark of someone who will just like step into their own. You know, this Venus conjunct Chiron, it could bring out a little bit of the pain within this connection. You know, like, oh my God, I'm so sad that this just really isn't working out. I'm so sad that we're apart and da-da-da-da-da. But you know what? This is acting in spite of all of that pain and all of that burden. Like I say, like, transfer the burden to the higher intelligence and just go find your peace. Go find your happiness. We have, okay, Saturn is the truth. Taurus, which is about having and manifestation. First house of the body, and the water element, sensing. See, your intuition is at a very all-time high, which we know that the elephant spirit intuition is also extraordinarily sensitive. So this water, which is sensing, I think you have a very good idea of what this connection is. And I also think if you are being totally truthful with yourself, like Saturn is a brutal truth kind of vibe. You cannot escape the brutal truths. And I often see Saturn as like a coach, right? It's not a cheerleader, like Jupiter is kind of like cheerleadery, but Saturn is the coach, and Saturn is going to point out where you messed up, where the problem areas are, and it's going to like tell you, no matter how it makes you feel, because it knows that it's ultimately going to make you better. And so the learning from the past is learning from the past mistakes, learning from, you know, the things that don't work, you know, the avenues, you keep trying the same thing over and over. expecting a different result, that kind of definition of insanity. I think many of you are going to be stepping away from that way of approaching life, and you're officially saying, you know, it was really hard and I had to, you know, I had to bear the burden for a while because I had to become who I am becoming. But now it really, really is time for me to have, right, to have the kind of joy and happiness that I actually really want, whether it's with that person or not. And that could be the really hard truth. And that's why the Fool energy is very surrendering. That's why it says, you know, universe, I'm going to take my hands off the wheel here, and I'm going to trust that you're going to point me in the right direction now. And unfortunately, that kind of blind faith can be really hard for some people because we so much want to control. And that's the human spirit. We want things to be within our control because it makes our ego feel safe. But this is not an energy of safety. This is an energy of reopening your chakra systems, reopening your heart, because Saturn can be very closed off. 10 of Wands can be very closed off, where, you know, you're hanging on to something needlessly. So the elephant spirit trusts that Mother Earth, that Mother Nature will provide. It trusts in the abundance of the land and the rains and the weather and the family unit, and it trusts in the greater good. And it also doesn't really think about it too much because that trust and that faith is so ingrained in its intuition. And because the intuition here is so strong, and I like the body element here, because when your body reacts to certain things, like for example, if when you think about this person, you get kind of a knot in your stomach, that's probably not a good sign of good energy, you know, and don't confuse the knot in your stomach with excitement and peace. You know, there's two very distinct feelings. And I'm wondering if, because of the etheric nature that kind of we're drawing in here, that the learning how to listen to your body has been a lesson, and it's continuing to be a lesson. Learn how your body communicates to you. Learn how your intuition uses the body to communicate with you. Do your shoulders get tense? Does your clench, or your jaw clench, does your stomach kind of do a certain thing when you think about this person? Does the jealousy that you feel do a certain thing? You know, and so you have to pay attention, and you have to recognize what is a good feeling and what is a bad feeling, because the Taurus aspect here is all about having everything you want. But the thing with Taurus is that, like the elephant, in a way, a bull and an elephant, these huge animals, I mean, they kind of makes sense that they're coming out together. They're not limited by the rules, right? The way that it should be done. They don't operate like that. So you have to have the strength and the power to manifest the feelings and not necessarily the circumstances. This is a time, for some reason, this Ace of Wands is speaking volumes to me right now, and maybe that's really where the focus should be. Focusing on what you love to do, focusing on how you live your life, focusing on your health, focusing on your hobbies and the things that really bring you joy and that can actually help you to release the tension in this particular connection, okay? Okay, all right, I'm going to leave you guys there. Have an excellent week. I'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye-bye.